Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new flipping video. I know it's been quite some time, but I have something really fun that I've been working on and something I really want to share with you guys. Now, the very first video I ever made on my channel was a video showing you my progress flipping in free-to-play. Since then, I've flipped all the way up to 1 billion GP, but there's something out there that is equally as challenging as that, if not more, and that is going to be the free-to-play game mode. I want to become the richest person in free-to-play, or at least the richest looking. I want to start with 1 GP in free-to-play and flip my way all the way up to a max free-to-play set. Now, I'm sure some people could be scratching their head right now. I mean, a max free-to-play set doesn't sound like a lot. What is that, like a full Runite or Green D'hide, something like that? Well, no. You might be shocked to know that a max free-to-play set, or the most expensive items equipped in every equipment slot, is actually totaled at 53.5 mil. Now, in free-to-play, there are 10 equipable slots. And here's the most expensive item for each slot. For the helm slot, we have the Dragonstone Full Helm, which is something I just learned was free to play, coming in at a value of 1.2 mil. In the amulet slot, we have an amulet of Power T worth around 1 mil. In the cape slot, we have a Team Cape X worth around 2 mil. In the torso spot, we have the Monk's Robe G coming in at a value of 4 mil, very high on that one. Next up here, we have the bottoms, which are coming in with the super sexy looking Gilded D'hide Chaps worth still around 8 mil. For the weapon slot, we have a very expensive item. We have the Gilded Scimitar, which is free to play and worth 15 million GP. For the shield slot, we have the Gilded Kite Shield worth 1.7 mil. For the glove slot, we have the Gilded D'hide Vambraces at 4 mil. In the ring slot, we have the Ring of Coins worth 15 mil, making up a large bulk of the total value. And finally here, we have Mole Slippers. Altogether coming in at a value roughly between 50 and 55 mil, obviously fluctuating all the time, but that is what we're looking to get, actually quite a challenge. Now, the only rules for this mini-series is we're starting with 1 GP, and we have to stay in free-to-play worlds on a free-to-play account, so we'll only have access to 3 offer slots, which is going to make this quite a challenge, but I'm super excited. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, I'd really appreciate it if you left a video a like. Always helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much, and let's get started. Alright, so here we are once again back with only 1 GP. I've thought quite a bit on what item I want to start with. I looked on GE Tracker and we're going to go with the Bronze Axe to begin with. It does look like occasionally the item will come through at a cheap price. Maybe not 1 GP, we'll have to see. And we're starting this on August 5th. Okay, well, we're not off to a hot start. That took 2 days for that to come through, but it finally did. We got 1 Bronze Axe for 1 GP, our very first item. Ignore the rest of those transactions. This account was used for my, the flipping farm video? Yeah, that's what that was all about. Now, it's actually surprisingly hard to buy an item for just 1 GP, so we finally did it. And we want to get as big a return as possible. That way we can hopefully repeat this a bit. So we're probably going to sell it back for around 100. We just checked on GE Tracker, and we know we should be able to get at least 100 for it. But yeah, now it's sold instantly. Okay. So that is a 100 times return, not bad for our very first flip. So we're just going to repeat that again. We're not going to go for 1 GP just because it's so time consuming. We're going to try for 10 coins each, and we'll go for 10 of them. Okay, so we had no luck on the Bronze Axe, but we moved on to another bronze item, and that is the Bronze Kite Shield. Now, bronze items in general work pretty well if you're doing something similar to me because they're not really traded for any practical reason. Nobody is using bronze items for actually fighting things normally, which gives them really massive price swings. So we're going to try to sell these back for somewhere close to 75. Once again, instantly selling them for 845 coins. That is a huge profit. Going from like 60 coins up to 800, that is awesome. So now we can just pretty much just repeat the exact same thing, except we're going to do it with a full buy-in limit, which is 125. By far our biggest limitation in free-to-play is the number of offer slots. You only have 3 versus the normal 8, which is a big downgrade. Okay, there we go. We got 125 bronze kite shields, which means we'll hopefully multiply our cash stack by about 50 again. So it looks like the price actually changed a bit, but we're just going to be patient and we're going to try to sell them back still for around 104. I really don't want to cut my margin in half at this point. Okay, so we kind of just met in the middle here at 90 GP each, but that still means we're going to get 10k from this transaction, which isn't bad considering how little money we had to begin with. Now, one thing I've kind of noticed is that in free-to-play, there are really crazy price fluctuations fairly often on just kind of random, benign items like the Adamant Scimitar. GE Tracker is a great tool for finding stuff like that, Again, if you don't know about GE Tracker, they are a sponsor of the channel. Go check them out. There will be a link in the description for that. But yeah, that is how I found this Adamant Scimitar flip. We're looking to double our money here potentially. Now, because of how restrictive free-to-play is, we always want to make sure we're using every slot possible. And another interesting item I found on GE Tracker is a Iron Armor Set SK. Kind of a weird item. I'm not sure if this is going to be worth it. We're going to try buying them for around 500 or 600 each. Looking to sell them for a massive margin of around 2,000 GP. Not sure if this is going to work out, but anyway, let's go try buying 8 of them. Okay. Bit of a head scratcher there. I'm not sure if that was a good idea or not, but yeah, I guess we'll find out. Okay, so it turned out it wasn't a very good idea. They haven't sold off at all. But the positives here are we sold off all of the bronze kite shields and we sold off all of the adamant scimitars, pretty much doubling our money right there. That's a really awesome flip, something that we could hopefully scale up in the future. Now, free-to-play flipping is crowded, definitely, but there are actually a lot of items that not many people know are actually free-to-play items. One thing that I actually did in my original series, and apparently is still good even 4 years later, is the trimmed armor pieces that you can only get in members, but they are a free-to-play item. So for example, here we're doing the Mithril Plate Legs G, and we're going to buy them for around 1,600. And on top of that, we're going to do grain, like something I would never really consider buying, just the item grain. Not sure how much volume there is for this, but yeah, we're going to give it a shot. Well, that is by far our best flip so far, the Mithril Plate Legs G. Look at that, we sold them for 7,200 and we bought them for 1,600, which means that is a profit of 44.5k, essentially like tripling our cash stack. Now, as they were selling off, I went ahead and bought even more of them as well, so we're looking to be in pretty good shape. Now, we also ended up selling off all the grain, but we only got around 3.2k on that. Respectable, but not nearly as good. So we're definitely going to focus on the Mithril Plate Legs now, because there's such a good margin on it. So finally here, we're going to repeat our grain flip again, except with just way more. We're going to do about 500 of them, and that's going to be it for now. Alright, well there we go, another 8 of them sold off for another 45k in profit pretty much. That is massive. And to make things even better, we already bought another 2 buying limits of them. We are just making so much bank on this item. So we are going to keep going with this full steam ahead. And we have another 15 to sell off, which means we're going to make another 85k on that, which is absolutely amazing considering how little money we had to start with. We are now cusping 200k. Okay, so one thing I've noticed is that they seem to be selling off at a much slower rate now than what we're buying them at, which I guess is somewhat to be expected, but look at that, we have 27 of them. So I don't really want to get stacked up with too many at once, but we're gonna go ahead and recheck the margin just to see 7,300, so we actually pretty much had it like right on almost. So we're gonna pop them in there for 72.99, a 204k stack of items already. That is amazing. The last couple of days we really made a ton of progress. So we're not changing the item up currently, and we're still going to do grain again, but we have a lot more money to dump into it. And we're getting actually a 30 or 40% ROI on it, so it's a pretty damn good investment. And this time around, we're going to do around 1,500. Now, while this item is still selling off very slowly, it's still making us a lot of money. I mean, it's kind of starting to stack up now, but I mean, things are looking pretty good. We just made like 30k in profit on grain, who knew? And we just sold another 9 of the Mithril Plate Legs off for another 50k in profit on that, which is, again, pretty good considering we only have like 300 or 400k. We do have 35 of them, so they are continuing to stack up, and I think I might take a break on buying them. So yeah, at this point, we know our left offer slot is going to take a couple of days probably to sell off at this rate. And it looks like we're actually up to around 400k already. So we're not going to mix it up yet. We are going to continue on with the grain. Now that we have a lot more money to invest, it's just going to be better and better, and we are getting about a 30% return every time we do this. So we're going to go for 3,000 grain this time, quite a lot. And now one item I was kind of looking at was the blue skirt. I had a look on GE Tracker. Okay, well, we insta-bought it again. Things are just way cheaper than they are supposed to be for some reason, but anyway, let's try selling it for 45k. That'd be a great margin anyway. So we're trying out a entirely different item here. Well, entirely different. It's pretty much the same item, just shaded green. We're looking at the Adamant Plate Legs G as well. Now, the margin on this thing isn't nearly as good considering you have to invest a lot more money for it. But still, compared to anything else I could find at this point, it's still pretty good. We're buying them for 5.7k each, and I think we're looking to sell them for around 9k. which is again about a 30 or 40% return on investment, which is pretty damn good. Not as good as this item, of course, but this is kind of a little gem. Even though the margin looks like it's dropped down to nothing, we're just going to be patient and get the biggest profit possible. Finally here we have our grain, which we ended up with almost 4,000 of them. We bought them for 38 each and we're selling them currently for 49, which means we're going to profit about 25k on that one as well. Okay, so we sold off all of the adamant plate legs, took about a day and a half, as well as all of the grain. We have our flipping utilities plugin open here temporarily, just to show you that it's actually been about 1 week of game time now. So this has not been quick by any means. I mean, I haven't been trying as hard as possible. So after 1 week of flipping, we're up to pretty close to half a mil. But keeping in mind that the first 100 GP in profit took almost 4 days. Okay, so we're just price checking a couple items here. We're looking maybe to do the adamant plate body G, which we just price checked at a 79% return on investment, which is absolutely massive. So we're going to go ahead and do that one. And another kind of weird item that I've never tried before and didn't even know really was free to play is raw pike. Which it looks like actually has 114% ROI. Thank you, flipping utilities. We're going to go ahead and put an offer in for 1,000 raw pike. Don't know if anyone ever really fishes these things, but that's what we're looking at so far, and I'm pretty optimistic. Now sadly, our margin on the adamant plate body kind of crashed. I don't think we ended up making that much money, considering we also price checked it as well. I'm pretty sure we lost 10,000 GP to begin with. We have our raw pike slowly coming through. Not sure how I feel about the item yet. As suspected, nobody cares about raw pike. We have gotten another 14 of the mithril plate bodies. Still probably one of our best items. It's crazy. Carrying us quite a bit. Okay, next up here we have an interesting item, the Jester Cape. One of the more expensive items in free-to-play. Looks like it has about a 20k margin, and we're going to go for 4 of those. If this is somewhat repeatable, I would definitely continue doing this a lot. Well, I finally finished with the raw pike flip. Took about 2 days. Wouldn't probably repeat that one again. Only made around 30k for all our efforts. Next up though, we're looking at the iron plate body. Doesn't have a very high buying limit, but if we leave it in long enough, we're getting about a 20-30% ROI, and we're going to go for 1,000 of them. And that's going to be it. We've kind of transitioned to some interesting other items, and I'm hopeful that they'll work well. I'm pretty sure the seagulls on my roof are literally yelling into my air vent, so I apologize if you can hear them. But we do have some good news. We got a couple of pretty damn good flips. The Jester Cape ended up working out really well. We got about a 20k margin on each one of them, and the 4 of them flipped back and forth very quickly, giving us a 76k profit on that, as well as another 71.5k in profit on the mithril plate legs. That item is just continuing to be really, really good. So good, in fact, we're just going to do more of them. We're going to go for another 30. And we're going to get into the baking world as well with some pots of flour, an item that I've never flipped in my life because I always had membership. Not the best return on investment, but we can scale this up pretty quickly, and I think these are fairly high volume. I don't know. People probably need pots of flour, I guess. Okay, about 2 days later, everything sold off. Looks pretty clean. We ended up getting about 95k in profit on pots of flowers. Very surprisingly good, actually. And 130k in profit on the mithril plate legs. Took quite some time to come through and sell them all off, but I think it was worth it. Now, sadly, we did suffer our very first loss, actually, on the iron plate bodies. We lost 70k on them. I'm actually kind of surprised I managed to lose that much money so early on. But regardless, even with that pretty hefty loss, that brings us up to 900k after about 10 days of flipping so far. Anyway guys, that is going to be it for the first episode of my free-to-play flipping series. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. We made it all the way from 1 GP to 900k in about 2 weeks. So definitely a time-consuming process, but I can tell you things do start to speed up very soon. And I have a lot of interesting flips planned, some interesting techniques are even available in free-to-play. And after the first episode, we could theoretically buy our very first piece of gear, which would be the mole slippers. Now before I go here, I want to give a massive thank you to RevolverOcilot and Kush Patel, who subscribed at my Dragon tier of YouTube membership, as well as a massive thank you to Nathan Ashworth, Doubletalk, Heathenlok Games, and Basstich. Thank you for making the dream possible. I appreciate you guys a lot. If you're looking for another way to support the channel, an awesome way to do so is just to become a YouTube member. By doing so, you will receive a custom Discord role, access to my video release schedule, as well as being mentioned in my videos. Thank you so much, guys.